dear American professor, did you ever read the Hamas charter? Did you read their promise to eliminate all Jews from the land of Israel? Do you see the equivalence between Hamas charter and Mein Kampf by Adolf Hitler? Do you, if you open your eyes?
Hello， 大家好，这一集很特别，因为我特别请到了我在希伯来大学念研究所的时候的教授。那我特别想要问他，就是这场战争是怎么样子严重的影响以色列？那接下来以色列会有什么样子的变化？那他花了很长的时间跟大家来解释以巴冲突的起源，以及哈马斯是什么，然后最后就是以色列的走向。所以这一集真的是好像是我又重新回到他的课堂那样子，跟大家分享。那你们如果有兴趣去看我教授的YouTube 频道的话，我会把链接放在资讯栏，你们都可以去看。
Hi, Professor. It's such an honor to have you on my channel. You're the best. Like, I learned so much from you from your class in Hebrew University. You said in your video, like, I love your channel. You said in one of your videos that Israel will not be the same after this war. Can you explain how come?
Well, we really need to go back in history to understand where Israel entered this, October 7th situation and 2.5 weeks that passed since. Because the conflict between Israel and Palestine did not start on October 7th. It did not begin in 2021. It did not begin in 2014, or, in all the war campaigns between Gaza and Israel. There's a long history to it. And we need to understand the history, and we need to understand where the two parties come to this situation. And especially, I think people do not understand, when I say people, very smart people, very, professors from all around the world.
Harvard.
Forget to read the basic statements by the two parties, why they are here, what they fight for. And I'll try to convey to you where we stand, but where we are coming from, and what should we understand about that conflict. So first and foremost, to understand Israel and to understand the Israelis, we need to appreciate that during World War II, 1939 until 1945, or through the entire Nazi regime in Germany, 1933 until 1945, and maybe even earlier from 1923, when Hitler wrote his book, Mein Kampf, the program to eliminate the Jews from the world. Okay? That was the program that Hitler was elected on by the German people in democratic elections. He vowed to eliminate the Jews from the world. And his entire program, when he came to power in 1933, he immediately created laws that pushed out Jews out of German citizenship. And then through the war, he created a program to eliminate 11 million Jews from Europe. He succeeded 6 million. The other either fled to the US or to the United Kingdom or to China, and were saved somehow. But the program was to eliminate all the Jews from the world, because he had this anti-Semitic image that the Jews are the source for all evil in the world. Now, that idea is not new in 1923 when he writes the book, Mein Kampf, My War Against the Jews. It's an anti-Semitic Christian conception that the Jews basically are the devil, right? They are the bad spirit. I know that in Chinese culture, there is no equivalent to the devil, but bad spirit, right? So the Jews are bad spirits, and yeah, we should, eliminate that spirit from the world. So the story is an ancient story. So when Hitler succeeded to kill 6 million, that became the foundational moment for modern state of Israel. So Germany was defeated by the US and the Allied forces, France, England, and Russia. And 3 years following the defeat of Germany in 1945, 3 years later, the State of Israel was created, 1948. After the Holocaust, after 6 million Jews were exterminated, immediately upon the independence of Israel, all the neighboring Arab countries, Egypt, Jordan, Iraq, Lebanon, Syria, began a war of elimination against Israel. They wanted, only 3 years after the elimination of Jews in Europe, they attempted to eliminate the Jews in the land of Israel. There was a war, we call it Independence War. The Israelis won the war against all these countries, and the Palestinians, those who were on the land and waited for Egyptian armies, Jordanian armies, Syrian armies to kick the Jews to the sea, they paid the price. The Arabs lost the war. The Palestinians, as a consequence, many of them were expelled from the land of Israel, thus became the refugees, the Palestinian refugees, in Syria or in Jordan or in Lebanon or throughout the world. They scattered. Anyway, the Israeli-Palestinian problem was created in 1948 in what the Palestinians called the Nakba, the Israelis called the War of Independence. And from that moment on, the conflict continues. Not that it began in 1948, but it continues. We had another major war in 1967. More Palestinian land was taken by Israel because for another time, Arab countries, Egypt, Jordan, Syria, attacked Israel, and Israel once again won the war and took more Palestinian, as they deem it, more Palestinian land. And the conflict between the Israelis and the Palestinians continues, skirmishes, small conflicts from time to time. In 1987, there was a big clash between popular uprising of the Palestinian called the Intifada, the first Intifada, a popular uprising against citizens in Israel. I personally was, my car was burnt in that popular attacks against Israelis. Then in 2002, we had a second Intifada, a second uprising of the Palestinians. And throughout those conflicts, a kind of peace process was negotiated. 1994, it's called the Oslo Accords, a peace process between Palestine and Israel that was about to be signed as a final agreement. And what transpired is that Israel allowed a kind of a Palestinian state, the Palestinian Authority, to get into the land of Israel, get weapons from the state of Israel, create a military or a kind of, police supported by the Israeli military, aiming to create a Palestinian state. But then through that process, Arafat, who was the president of the Palestinian Authority, decided to walk away from the agreement and to turn to terror again, creating the second Intifada. And through this process, through those years, 1990s, a guy he was a Muslim leader, wrote what became the Hamas Charter. He created a new, initially it was a social welfare organization, Hamas. And he created its ideology, its theology. What is the purpose of we Muslims we Palestinian Muslims in the land of Israel. What is our program, political and theological program? And if you read that program, it reiterates, it brings back Mein Kampf of Hitler. The Jews are the devil of this world. They need to be eliminated. And the land of Israel cannot be divided. It's a holy land for the Muslims. No Jew can live there. And the program is to eliminate the Jews from Muslim land or Palestinian land, basically to kill them all.
Gad, can I ask you, who is this person that you mentioned? Who?
I forgot his name. Maybe I'll remember later. He was killed by the Israeli Air Force at one of the attacks, trying to kill the leaders of Hamas. Hamas, I told you, began as a social welfare organization and turned into a military organization, and now maintains the two faces. A social welfare kind of organization supporting the people of Gaza mostly, and an army.
Yeah.
The aim of which is to eliminate Israel, to fight Israel by all means. So the program, and I should say it's not just from an Israeli eye, everyone will read the Hamas charter. And please, your audience, please read. Don't trust anyone. Read what the people write down as their statement, what we are going to do. They are going to do. They are telling the truth.
Yeah.
They are going to kill the Jews. So from an Israeli perspective, it's the return not only of the Holocaust, them killing on October 7 more than 1,000 Jews, which was the most horrible day for the Jewish people worldwide. It's the return of the Nazi program, the Nazi political program, which gets legitimacy across the world as a political program. Professors in the US, unbelievably, say, yeah, the Hamas are uprising. They are defending the rights of the Palestinian people. No, they are not defending the rights of the Palestinian people. They are in a war of elimination. Their program is stated very clearly: eliminate the Jews. And we saw in 10 hours of their operation how successful they were. And so I repeat, for the Israelis, it's the return of the Nazi program in a Muslim face. And the fear is the same fear that the Jews experienced in Europe, 1939, 1945, as the machine that tried to kill them all and killed 6 million of them was working. And what's shocking in this situation, after the Second World War, the Nazis lost, the Jews came to the land of Israel, were granted, a state by the UN with the support of the US. Now they have independent country, and they promised. So my father, who came from Europe in 1945 to Israel, their generation promised, we will create a state, a country, Israel, that will be safe for the Jews. That will be the place the Jews feel sovereignty. They are independent. They are not dependent on the King of England or the, Prime Minister of the Netherlands. No, we have a country, we are sovereign. And we have a military to defend us. And we will create the place that is the safest place for all Jews throughout the world. Every Jew in the world, in the US, in France, in Switzerland, wherever, you feel insecure in your country, you come to Israel. At the moment you go down from the airplane, you get citizenship. And you are part of us immediately. Okay, you don't need to do any examination. You are an Israeli once you landed on the land of Israel. And we promise this is going to be the safest place. And on October 7th, what the shock is that Israel, which promised to be the safest place, proved to be the least safe place for Jews on earth. Never did, from 1945, never did such a big number of Jews died in one day. And it happened in the land of Israel, which promised, no, that will never happen again. So it's a shock to the Israeli identity. It's a shock to our promise to ourselves, the generation of my father that promised to us, we will create, the real final solution for the Jews, the real safe house for the Jews. So that is a shock. I call it the return of the trauma. And we are really traumatized.
Yeah.
And one other thing that is shocking to us in the present situation, that our government, and especially the Prime Minister, Netanyahu, is unable to express any sympathy with the people who were killed, kidnapped. So we have more than 200 people kidnapped in Gaza. And our prime minister has no ability, emotional ability, to come to the Israeli people and make us feel that we are safe somehow. It was only President Biden that showed us, Israelis, what a leader can do for a country. He first, in his statements, the way he spoke about the situation, he could speak to mothers who lost their, kids. He could speak in very emotional terms, and suddenly we saw, here is a leader. Here is someone who can, make us feel, good somehow. But then it went beyond just statements. Okay, so he came to visit Israel during times of war.
Yeah, the first ever president. Yeah.
And he sent warships to the Mediterranean to make us feel safe, that there's a big brother
behind you.
Usually we talk about America as our big sister, but now we need a big brother with lots of muscles. So there are actions that follow the words of President Biden, and we don't see it coming from our government. And we are in shock also by the lack of leadership in Israel in this time of crisis. This is unbelievable. You say, where is the government? Where is the leadership? And because of that, I don't know if it's a cause and an effect, but the people replace the government. So the government is paralyzed. For example, my son, I have two sons in the military right now, okay? So they had to drive from Jerusalem, to take a bus from Jerusalem to the Negev, the south of Israel, a 2-hour drive, let's say. No buses for 2 days. The government was unable to organize buses to take soldiers from wherever they live to the place of war. And you ask yourself, come on, government, you need to do war business, right? So instead of the government, private people, private companies came into the vacuum created by the government and helped move soldiers around, feed the soldiers,
supplies,
buy equipment for the soldiers so they will be safe. So it's quite, what's going on here? government? Where are you, government? This is, yeah, from an Israeli perspective, it's, so the civil engagement is not surprising. We are usually, you know, I think I told you in class, solidarity is a very strong element. You know, we're speaking of October 7 as the date of trauma, but I wrote a piece. I'm here in Hong Kong. And October 1 is Independence Day or the National Day in China. And I went to see the ceremony, two ceremonies on October 1st. One was the flags ceremony here at the University of Hong Kong Science and Technology University, where I'm at. And then there was the firelights.
Fireworks?
Fireworks, yeah, fireworks at the evening in the port of Hong Kong. And so I've looked at that day and I said, how different is that from the Israeli Independence Day? Like, there are no flags. People do not sing songs in the street. There are no, you know, people doing barbecue all over and people visiting each other and celebrations. No, they just come to, you know, to look at the fireworks. That's it. They go home. And I was shocked by this Independence Day because in the Israeli Independence Day, everybody is together.
Yeah, yeah.
It's you know, the trauma. The day before is a Memorial Day, right? For the soldiers. A week before, there's a Memorial Day for those lost in Europe, the 6 million. But it's you know, this month is a whole month where you see the flags all over Israel and people celebrating. Even now during the war, the moment so I was in Israel last week, I came to visit an, you know, emergency visit for 5 days. And as I went down from the airplane, I started seeing flags all over Israel, flags.
Yeah,
So
even now, on the street.
Yeah, what's going on?
No advertisements anymore. It's all the slogans. Together we'll be stronger.
On buildings, flags.
Yeah, we will win. Yeah.
It's the solidarity. We're in it together. So it's a symbol, but it tells you how connected, I call Israelis, we are state people. We are so connected together. We're in it together, for better or worse, currently for worse. But the solidarity, when I looked at the Hong Kong ceremonies and the Israeli ceremonies, no, come on, that's not the way to celebrate your, you know, independence or whatever. It's not happiness, just sitting and you know, waiting for the fireworks. That was unhappy.
For Hong Kong people, it's probably a day off from their busy schedule.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, the meaning, the significance is a little bit different. Yeah.
So, Gal, can I ask 1 or 2 questions so to get clarification, just from your opinion? So you mentioned about the current government's inability, the stagnation. Why do you think? Why do you think the government, you know, was unable to respond? And could it be due to the judicial, you know, overhaul that they were trying to do? Yeah, well, it's quite shocking. Like,
this is part of the story. So for the moment that Netanyahu's government was elected last November, so almost a year ago, he was re-elected as government. He had this pause for 1 year not being prime minister, but for the last 15 years, Benjamin Netanyahu is running Israel. Okay? And the way he runs for the entire period, the way he runs his political party is whenever he sees a very good professional politician who can run a ministry, he knocks him out. He wants weak people working with him, not good people working with him. So all the, you know, strong people who were working with Netanyahu are currently leading alternative parties because he could not bear having them aside him. So Lieberman, obviously Gantz, he didn't like him. Gideon Sa'ar and other ministers, you know, were ministers a year ago when he was in power. So yes, Netanyahu on purpose elects people who will follow his command and are weak to be leaders in their own right. So he created a kind of administration under him that is very unprofessional, very politicized. And what we saw during the last year is an attempt to create a legal system that will allow that to continue. Fully political, unprofessional. The legal, you know, regulation will not be relevant anymore. The stop against arbitrary power by the Supreme Court will be abolished, so he can do whatever he wants. He and, you know, his followers, his supporters in government. And so, yes, part of the catastrophe results from the way he ran, you know, the government during the last 10 months. But I think it's broader. Him not being able, him and his wife, we should say, the hidden, secretive prime minister behind his back, she could not and he could not have someone strong beside them. So wherever someone was, you know, smart or professional, he was moved, and he elected very unprofessional people. And, you know, when catastrophe hits, you need a good administration. And just, you know, the story about the buses. You need someone who knows how to organize buses, right, on emergency. And they could not do it. So, yeah.
So I want to go back to history, just a little bit, what you're talking about. Now, I'd like to ask you about the legitimacy of the Palestinian people to a state. So we know you mentioned 48 and 67, 73, they basically lost. And how is it today that they have this, in the eyes of the international law in the world, that they have a right in this land, when that's something that I kind of, find it hard to,
because it doesn't exist in other countries. You lose, you lose.
Yeah, and also because we understand that during the 1948 it was period of nationalism. So Jordan was created. I mean, Jordan was given to Arabs, right? And yet, and then Israel, the Jews will have their own land. So yeah, the British played two hands. They promised something to the Arabs. They also promised something to the Jews. But so King Abdallah, he got the Jordan, and then Jews got Egypt. Jews got Israel. And how is it now that there's this state of Israel? You know, for how is that possible?
Yeah, well, this is really strange because we often say that the Palestinians managed to make every mistake possible on every historical juncture. The initial UN proposal, 1947, was to split the land of Israel between Palestine and Israel. Israel agreed, take half, okay? More than half of the land. Israel agreed to whatever, just give us a small place. The Palestinians said, no, we'll fight it. And they invited the Arab countries to help them to fight it, and they lost. And they lost again and again, but I think we need to appreciate the role. So we are not speaking about secular politics. It's politics with a God behind, an Islamic God behind. And the Hamas made it clear that they cannot give the land that Allah gave to Islam to keep, Jerusalem is the third holiest place for Islam. And the entire land is an Islamic waqf. The name is waqf, meaning given by God to maintain its Islamic land.
So do you mean like Dar al-Islam? This concept, Dar al-Islam, the House of Islam?
I don't think it's that. It's the waqf. It's a land given. So just as in East Jerusalem, there's the Haram el-Sharif, the holy place, and they need to protect this place, to not allow Jews to come and visit this place, because this is waqf land. In 1967, Israel won the war. Jordan was kicked out across the Jordan River, so it's 20 kilometers away from Jerusalem. Yet Israel agreed that this place, the Waqf in East Jerusalem, will be under Jordanian watch.
Yeah.
So Jordan still has a say, a joint say. Palestine and Jordan have a say in East Jerusalem. Israel was willing. Okay, it's, we don't care. You want to pray. But they don't want to pray. They want to eliminate the Jews from the land of Israel, because from their perspective, and it's very, I don't know, some people might find it sensitive, what I'm going to say. Okay, so in Islam, the land is feminine. It's a woman. The man has to protect the land just as he protects his wives and daughters. Okay? And the Jews, by coming to the Waqf land, the land of Islam, they rape the woman, they rape the land. They're not supposed to be here. So for Arab men, it's a question of honor. We have to fight. We have to get it. So it's a religious war. It's not a simple political, it's between two secular countries that negotiate politically. No, it's a religious war from the Palestinian side. And Hamas made it clear. They put it on the table. Right? They say what the other Palestinians are feeling, their commitment to Islam.
Right.
It's their duty. And what Hamas is doing in that document is telling the other Palestinians that this is your duty, even if you don't obey me, Hamas. You are not a good Palestinian if you agree with the Israelis somehow. And this is why you see whenever, on October 7th, when the horrors came to be known, Palestinians all through the world were very happy. Success.
Yeah, celebrate.
We killed babies. Success. We burned live babies. What a success. Palestinian liberty. Why? Because it's their duty. Okay, so it was the first time that they, from a Muslim point of view, did what they have to do. They succeeded.
So do you think
we secular people just don't appreciate that God, Islamic God is here. It's not just, political interests. It's a bigger conflict. When the Soviet Union fell in 1989, those political scientists began a debate. And there were two main voices coming from a professor and a student. So The student wrote a book, The End of History. The West won, Russia, right? The Soviet Union is gone. There will be no more conflicts in the world. His teacher from Harvard told him, oh no, my student, Francis Fukuyama was the student. My dear student, Francis, you did not understand. God did not die. And there are going to be religious wars in the world. That was 1996.
Wow.
5 years before September 11.
Mm-hmm.
And I think what we see of those two big arguments where the world is going, we see that the teacher was right. That the book called The Clash of Civilizations. It's the clash of religions. They're going to war. They are not going for peace. And we see the war between Islam and the West, and Israel is just a station in this war. And we see the war between Russia and Ukraine, which is Russia and the West.
Yeah.
Okay? Ukraine is just a station, but basically it's a war against Berlin and Washington. And the Ukrainians just stand in between. They're just the border, and the Russians are trying to push the border. You are too close to Russia. Go away. Back to Berlin, back to Washington.
I just wanted to follow up on my question. Okay, so you know Arafat, when he speaks in Hebrew, he says one thing, and then when he speaks in Arabic, it's a different. So what we talked about, the religious war, is what Arafat will talk in Arabic, but in English, I'm sorry, when Arafat speaks in English, he doesn't talk about religious war. Obviously, he can't bring that up. No one's going to accept that.
Human rights, freedom fighter.
So how is the Palestinian case being presented such that they can get legitimacy today in the legal body, in the and all that? You understand my question? Yeah.
Sure. I think it's not. I think again, this is how it is. In Islam, it is legitimate to lie in order to win a battle against your enemy. Okay? If truth puts you in trouble, you as an Islamic person, or you risk other Muslim people, lie. Okay? So it is a political, to lie is a political tool. You use it with religious backing. It's legitimate. You sign something. Now, it's from the origins of Islam. It's Muhammad lied. Okay? He signed a contract. I will not attack you for the next 10 years. And then he said, after 2 years, who cares? And he attacked and he won the war because the other side believed that for 10 years they're going to sit, quiet. And when Arafat said, I sign, he mentioned to the Arabic-speaking people, remember Muhammad, okay? Remember what he signed and what he did, I do the same. So, and I think we secular people, or people who grow in a culture that lying is not legitimate, that you cannot maintain political order when it's based on lies. We believe, when he signs Arafat, we believe that it's truthful. But no, it's not truthful. And obviously, when Hamas signs treaties, when Iran is signing treaties with the West or with the US, they have no intent to do what they sign about. It's a political tool to advance their interests. So what I suggest to your followers, don't trust me. Open ChatGPT, open pow.com, POWE.com, and ask a question. Is it legitimate to lie in Islam? And it will answer you. No, Islam says the truth is the right way to proceed, but in circumstances where truth will hurt Islam, lie. Okay, so don't trust me.
Yeah.
See, and it will give you sources where the origins of the story and how Muhammad used it for his interests, and yeah, it's out there. And part of the problem of the world is that we don't read much. We tend to have political views without being knowledgeable about things. For example, many American professors nowadays sign petitions supporting Hamas and the freedom of Gaza without, did you ever read, dear American professor, did you ever read the Hamas charter? Did you read their promise to eliminate all Jews from the land of Israel? Do you see the equivalence between Hamas charter and Mein Kampf by Adolf Hitler? Do you, if you open your eyes, you will see the connection. You will see it's the same program. It's the same ideas about the Jews. So when you sign a petition, why don't you read? You're a professor. You're getting paid by the public to be intelligent. Why do you just stupidly sign on without reading?
Yeah, that's
so I think
question. Why are there self-hater Jews in the world? Why don't all Jews support Israel?
This goes back to, it's a long talk also, but there is a trend within Judaism of self-hatred. At one point, so the Christians always pointed to the Jews, not just as victims, they blame the Jews for what bad happens in the world, because they didn't follow Christ. As Jews became modern, they adopted the Christian point of view about them and they internalized the Christian perception of them and became Jew haters. So there is this trend. It has its theological roots in Christianity. It is long going, and we will always have them. It's part of culture, and people adopt the point of view of the other side and blame Jews for whatever happens.
Okay.
If we have time, I want to explain one more thing.
Sure.
Okay. You hear a lot of talk about Israel being an aggressor, right? We attack Gaza, we attack Palestine, we come to take land, Muslim land, and
Israel is the occupier.
Sorry?
Israel is the occupier.
That's what they
Yeah.
say.
And there's a big misunderstanding of what Jews and Judaism is all about. Jews, and that's very different from Muslims and Christians. I don't know about Eastern religions. Okay? Jews don't want to make other people to become Jews. Okay? There are only 16 million Jews all around the world. Okay? We don't want to make the Muslims into Jews. You remain Muslim, thank you. I don't want you, don't come, just don't. So the attitude is, no, self-defense, okay? We don't want to grow. We're a small people, that's okay for us, okay? So, Israel has a very strong military. If we want to take land, in Syria, when Syria was killing each other, right? They were very busy killing each other. We could, let's take some land from Syria, right? What an opportunity! No, we don't want more land. We can take Lebanon in a few days, right? With a strong war, we can. No, that's the Jews are self-defense. It's all about self-defense. We are not aggressors. Okay? We don't want to beat other people. And I think that is a big misunderstanding, because Christians, you know, Christ, the prophet said, at the end of days, all the world will be Christian. The Muslims say, at the end of time, all the world will be Muslim, because we'll kill those who will not become Muslim. Israelis, you know, Jews are not saying in the end of time all the world will be Jewish. No, thank you. We are, you know, we are good, small, leave us alone. Please, don't come. We don't want. So it's a culture of self-defense. And to think of Israel as an aggressor is a misunderstanding of the interest of the Jewish people, which is keep us small, let us just, you know, survive, you know, until next time, and we don't want to grow.
So it's media propaganda against
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's thinking that the Jews control the world. No, the Jews just want, you know, to be protected.
Well, throughout the years, like Israel has like this big desire for peace, but people also don't understand. They see there's no peace, and they draw a conclusion it's because Israel doesn't want peace. They never see it's Hamas that wants the whole Palestine and not giving it, like, they don't want to see a Jew left in this, like, Palestine free of Jew land. Yeah.
So my the follow-up question for me is, how do you see then peace can ensure between the Palestinians and the Jews?
Oh, this is a very tough, you know, we are asking the question as of 1948.
Yeah.
And I think the responsibility rests on the Palestinian people to elect new leadership, secular. You know, the same war was in Egypt a few years ago, 2012 or 2011, between the Muslim Brothers and the secular government. Sisi won, right? Secular Egypt won over religious Egypt. Same in Jordan. Same in Syria. So countries run on secular organizations, secular leadership. And we need Palestine to elect, hopefully democratically, a new government which will be brave enough to fight the fight of Palestinians with an understanding that only a secular government can achieve their interests. I bring you back to 2000. Ehud Barak was willing to give the Palestinian a lot of land. 2007 or what? Ehud Olmert, prime minister, willing to give the Palestinians even more land for peace, but their leadership could not agree. And they could not agree because they have those religious, you know, fears or religious commitments that they still cannot get free of. And I think until they have elected secular leadership, which will be bold and brave enough, it will be very difficult. I think there is an agreement between, I don't know if it will happen, but there's an agreement that Hamas cannot stay on ground. Okay? They need to be taken out of Gaza. But you have 2 million people. You need a government. What government would be created there? That's an opportunity. If the Hamas is, you know, knocked out, that's an opportunity for a new Palestinian leader to rise. Would they find one? Would they allow one to come with a secular, state government thinking to rise to power and to lead Palestine? They've not proved, throughout history, they proved to not elect the appropriate people. Mahmoud Abbas was close. I think his people did not allow him. He could, but in the current situation, is at the end of his life. I'm not sure he can do it, but we are not predictors. But I think it's in the end, even after the massacre of October 7, if the Palestinians come with a peace, agreement, Israel will agree.
Yeah, but there was never a Palestinian country even before this 1967. It was controlled by Gaza. Egypt. So will Egypt or Jordan allow a Palestinian state after this as well? Because it's not the only party involved. It's also Jordan.
I think, well, the Palestinians were created through the arrival of Zionism. Palestine was created as an alternative identity claiming commitment to the land, and then the enveloping Arab countries were not willing to get the Palestinians. Jordan kicked them out in the 1970s. Lebanon, we pushed the Lebanese to throw PLO out of Lebanon. Egypt says, no, I don't open the gate. Thank you very much. I don't need Palestinians. So no one wants them. Their only alternative is to have an independent country alongside Israel. But if they elect to choose religiosity and Hamas, they have no political program, realistic. They'll continue to suffer.
So interesting question, but just your thoughts. Do you think Netanyahu would use this opportunity in case, looks like in the north, Hezbollah is really going to attack? You think Netanyahu will use this opportunity to bomb Iran's nuclear facilities in Iran?
Because he needs to cut the head of the snail, right?
The snake.
Yeah, snake. Snail.
Yeah, I think it's no surprise that the US brought its power to the Middle East. It's partly to threaten against the parties going into war, but it's also creating the possibility of such a war.
Yeah.
So it's very difficult to guess what the interests are. I think I'm listening to a good student of mine who I had back at the Rothberg International School that you attended. He's an advisor at in the United Kingdom for a war kind of organization, and he says that in order to understand what's going on between Israel and Palestine, we need a broader look. And he said the following: President of France is going for elections. President of the United States is going for elections. This is not a good time for big wars right now. Netanyahu might ruin the presidency for Joe Biden if he goes into war. So the pressure is against war. And as I look at it from the side, Netanyahu indeed plays a defense. His military wants to go to war. His defense minister is blah, 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 blah. And Netanyahu says, no, wait. Because he listens to Biden. The interests of the US is in a year prior to elections is not to engage in war that who knows what comes out. You'll have to send soldiers, American soldiers will die, he will not be elected. So we need this, and Russia has interests, and China has interests. And he says, in order to understand what's going on in Gaza between Israel and Palestine, you need to look at the big map.
Yeah.
The world is saying right now, the big interests. And I think he's right. I think it's not just a question of Israel-Palestine. It's a big question of,
The region.
Iran, the West, Russia, election times in different democratic countries. And so we cannot predict what Netanyahu will do.
Right. So after all this is over, once the war here is over, do you think there's any chance of Netanyahu to continue to be prime minister?
No.
Even if he managed to bomb the Iran nuclear reactors.
Yeah, I think he's gone. Having allowed the largest terror attack against Israel and bringing up the trauma of World War II, the Holocaust, to the Israelis and to the Jews throughout the world, is something that no one will say for Netanyahu, oh, forget it. No, we will never forget him. And we will never forget the 15 years in which he created this government incapacity to govern in a situation of crisis. So I think Netanyahu finished his days. He can be a very good lecturer, get some money giving lectures, but I think no one will invite him now. He's done.
2 questions. Why Israel doesn't cease fire and negotiate with Hamas? It's not my question. It's like the question from people who come from countries that don't have war. So they think negotiation can bring peace. So how come Israel, as you said, Jewish people are all about self-defense? Now Hamas said, if you stop attacking us, bombing us, then we will release all the hostages. It sounds like a good deal, but how come Israel doesn't accept that?
I urge those people asking the question, please read the Hamas chapter. See what they say. They aim to eliminate Israel. They will sign a treaty, ceasefire, maybe give the hostages back, and go build new missiles, and they will try to do it better next time. They are not going to make peace with Israel. That's not in the I don't know, how do you say, it's not in the possibilities they have. It's not in their belief system. So they criticize, you must read the document, they criticize those believing in peace. It's a Western idea. It's a foreign idea to Islam. This is not going to happen, peace. Islam will not live with other religions on Islamic land. No, that will not happen. And as long as Hamas is maintaining that spirit, not saying, okay, we give up and we live, we give up on the Hamas charter and we don't, become secular. That's it. No God. Unless they say that, you can't believe them in any agreement that you come with them.
Yeah, just another lie.
Yeah, it would be another lie.
Yeah. In contrast, one of the leaders, Yair Sinwar, he was a prisoner in Israel for many years and he got a brain tumor. I don't understand from my culture, why would Israel treat his brain tumor in the hospital? Why does he get to live?
Yeah, well, it's the same question is, why do we supply Gaza with electricity, with water, with food, allowing Gazan people to work in Israel so they have money to live? Israel is a liberal democracy. In class, we might have mentioned the concept of tikkun olam, that we try to make a better world, right? That's the mission of Judaism, to make a better world. We have the idea that the spirit of Israel will bring light to the world. So we try to do good as an example to other people. So if that means helping our enemies, on October 7th, terrorists were shot by an Israeli soldier or whatever. They were given treatment.
Yeah.
After they raped Israeli women, after they killed babies, they were given treatment.
Yeah, why? Killed. Yeah, why should Israel give them treatment? I saw the debate in the group. I was like, why is there even this debate?
Yeah, because this is, the medical people.
Yeah, it's their duty to treat. Yeah.
Yeah, they have a duty, and so the argument was not if to kill them or to give them treatment. The question was whether to have the terrorists wounded lie by the victims of the terror attack bed by bed, or no, give them a different place, not in our hospital. And I think the decision was not in our hospital. It's inappropriate for them to lie bed by bed. It would create situations, right? Families coming and seeing this terrorist, but no. So they decided, but they didn't decide to kill them.
Wow.
Some other, I suppose Russia would find a way to kill them all. No survivor on the terrorist side, but no, you don't kill prisoners in Israel.
Yeah. Do you have questions? More questions?
No, I think that was very insightful.
Then I have a final question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, then I have a final question. What do you expect the life would be after the war is over? Will Israel be very different from what it was, or will it?
Yes, I think well, you will find we will have a Memorial Day, probably another Memorial Day, that we keep the memory of the 1300 or whatever the number ends up to be. You will see artistic creations, so songs for the memory. You'll see films memorizing. So a lot of artistic creation around this traumatic moment. I think there's a possibility for a reshuffling of the tense relations between Jews in America and Israel. I think many Jews in the US, which usually criticize Israel for its treatment of the Palestinians, could now see that the Nazis are back and that Israel has a point in its self-defense posture vis-a-vis Palestine. So I think that could be a very big change for Israel, gaining support by the Jewish community in the US. And internally, I think we will see, and you already see the first moments of that. You see ultra-Orthodox people saying, enough is enough. We go to the military. We must participate in what we call in Hebrew, shivyon banetel. Everybody is in it together, and we must be part of Israel. They play, the leadership plays, we are not part, just give us the money and we'll allow you to have a government. But I think this is going to change. And I think Netanyahu's party, the Likud, will lose a lot of power, and there would be a reshuffling of Israeli politics. and a new center will be created. More Zionists, more based on common values to the whole. And if the Israeli Palestinians can withstand the pressure of their brothers in Gaza to not join the war, then the initial first-time agreement that we have a Muslim political party in government last year, before Netanyahu came back to power, that would be strengthened. And so I think that would create a very broad consensus for the next, it's going to be few years, but the few is going to be a big number of years. That's a trauma that a generation keeps.
So you're saying the bond between Jews and the Israeli Palestinians will be
in Israel, Israelis,
yeah,
Palestinian citizens. Yeah, if they keep the tension currently, not participating in protest and not identifying with Hamas, then the agreement within Israel can make a reshuffling of the politics, and yeah, that would be a big change. So the right wing, the current right wing, right? They're very proud of them being right wing. They brought us to a point where the center will come back.
Okay.
And for a long time.
It's good. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to those days actually. Yeah, and I think Israel can really flourish, really in that position, and this is Israel's natural position. In fact, I feel, yeah. It's such a blessing. Yeah, and we just thank you so much for your time. It's so informative and insightful. I just want to ask you, what are you doing in Hong Kong, and when do you intend to come back to Israel?
So I'm on a sabbatical here, spending 4 months teaching what I was teaching at the Rothberg School. So I'm teaching Israeli society and Israeli culture for a very small class, 9 students. I really enjoy it here. But the weather is, it's Hong Kong weather.
Typhoon.
You got air conditioning.
Not just the typhoons, but it's very hot and humid, and anyway, but I really like Hong Kong, and I will try to come back next year, so I really enjoy it. And I'm going to be back in Israel on December 25th, so Christmas. It's my, because I didn't know how Hong Kong, so I said, when I finish teaching, I go back. So it's on the Christmas, I come back. I'm sorry about that. I could stay another month. But again, I visited Israel last week, emergency visit. I have 2 sons in the, drafted to the military now. One in the north, one in the south. Supposed to go into Gaza if that happens, and I don't like the idea. And so yeah, that's why I'm here. And what I'm doing from day to day, just as you run a YouTube channel, I have a YouTube channel, and
a link, yeah.
As of 2 weeks ago, I opened, so my office is, I call it War Room. And I try to upload every day either Hebrew or English explanations about the situation. I'm writing for Israeli newspapers. I'm being interviewed on media. So I'm all over. Very, very busy.
Yeah, you're fighting as well.
And when you asked me to talk with you, I was really very happy.
Thank you for your time. And yeah,
because we don't speak much to Chinese people, and I think Israel is not well understood in that part of the world.